people in attendance. As the gunshot was fired, he was rushed over to a hospital afterward, where sadly, we later heard from President Trump that Kirk did pass away. I want to discuss the case in general and what happens next. So let's bring in a friend of the show here. We do have Jillian Snyder, an adjunct lecturer at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and resident senior fellow at the R Street Institute. She is also a retired New York City police officer. Thank you so much, Jillian, for taking the time to join us here.
Good morning, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Well, first off, I do want to ask you, because we know that within about 48 hours, we saw this arrest made, the suspect taken into custody after a reward was offered of $100,000. And also you have the videos and photos that were circulated. So based on your experience here, how common is it to see an arrest made in a case of this magnitude here within 48 hours?
As we just said, he was taken into custody within 33 hours, and that's extremely fast by traditional investigatory norms, but it does often happen in high-profile cases, and it's because you have so much interagency cooperation. In this case, obviously, we had so much media exposure, and then once the release of the surveillance footage and videos went live, you have millions of people across the country looking into this, and ultimately a family member, the father is what we're hearing, recognized the suspect, confronted the suspect, and he was ultimately taken into custody. But again, we all saw the show the first 48 hours. We know that those 2 days are the most impactful for talking to witnesses, getting surveillance, getting victim statements, and collecting forensic evidence.
You mentioned the father. That's, of course, what we did learn about how the arrest itself happened and how he turned himself in. But how common would you say it is for people close to the suspect, especially a family member like a father, to be the ones who are alerting police there after seeing surveillance photos, videos, and saying, that right there is my son?
Honestly, it's one of the more common ways that big cases are cracked, and it did play out in this investigation. So the suspect's father recognized him, as we know, and a family friend reportedly helped get that information to a police. And again, we're hearing that the father urged the suspect to turn himself in. So normally people think it's the anonymous tipster's line, but in reality, it is often people close to the suspect, whether it be a family or a friend or an acquaintance, because they do have that inside information. They would more easily recognize that suspect once the video surveillance or surveillance photos are released online. So it does happen more commonly than most think.
When you're talking about the FBI Director Kash Patel and his comments yesterday, he said 11,000 tips and leads did come in over that 33-hour period there. How does that compare to maybe another case? 11,000 seems like a lot of tips from the public. And also, how do law enforcement officers, investigators there go about combing through those at a quick rate and determining, is this legitimate or is this a false lead?
11,000 tips is a great amount, but one of the contributing factors to that was the sizable reward. You don't often see a $100,000 reward offered that quickly in an investigation. You'll actually see the reward amount increase the longer the investigation is active, more as like an incentive for people to pay attention. So, but when you have thousands of tips, 11,000 in this case, law enforcement and detectives have to rely on a triage system to sort them out. So they prioritize tips that they find to be credible, but can be corroborated with evidence that they currently have. So in this case, they did recover a rifle very early on in the investigation with the etchings and marks. They did have footprints that they were able to cast into and, make comparisons, and they did have some video footage. So they're going to look at tips that kind of match or mirror those and prioritize those. They will still log every other tip, and they will still follow up inevitably on every possible lead, but they need to do it based on a triage system of what seems the most practical and probable.
I want to ask about something you just mentioned here, and those are the markings and the words that were written on the bullets themselves. Does that detail have any investigative significance? What, if anything, can be understood from those messages that are written there?
So these messages were interesting because typically you'll see a suspect have a common theme. We did see some commonality in some of the etchings, the Bella Ciao and the catch it fascist or whatever I'm paraphrasing here. But then he did have other ones that said like, if you read this, you're gay, LMAO. That's again, when we're looking at a criminal mastermind, we're looking for someone with some consistency in their messaging. So this does implicate that he is immature. He was trying to make a point, but it was immature. But because a lot of what he wrote had political undertones, had ideological meaning behind it, they will use that as their foundation and their cornerstone. Of course, the victim in this case, the political arena in this case, all allude to political violence. But we need to look at what the suspect left behind. And he left behind these etchings, which are very impactful. But that's just going to be phase one. Because political ideation, yes, could be a motivational factor, but in most cases of assassination or would-be assassination, notoriety and the need and feeling of needing to see visibility, those are really the motivating factors, with the political undertones being secondary.
What you're looking at is some of the video that was captured as the gunshot was fired. You can see about 3,000 people there at the event, according to event organizers, and they are running because, again, they just witnessed something horrific. They heard a gunshot. They don't know if more gunshots are going to be fired. What role did that large crowd right there at the event likely play in allowing the suspect to escape afterward? Because, again, we know, according to investigators, that he was actually on a rooftop at the time. He was not in the crowd itself. So, as you said earlier, and as reports have said, there was approximately 3,000 people at this event. That's going to create a lot of confusion. As you're seeing, these attendees are just running in all types of directions. It doesn't seem like there was any evacuation protocol put into place, but honestly, even if you have the best evacuation protocol, when something like this happens, people immediately just retreat to safety.
Now, it's been crazy out here since this has happened. The general public has been going nuts. They've been battling it out on social media. And this is why you wait for all the evidence to be presented before you start making statements. You can have your, pretty much your beliefs into what's going to happen and say, hey, if it's these people, if it's not these people. I've seen people say it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats. And as you can see, that's not the case. You've been on my Patreon, you've been everywhere else. We went and did a deep dive basically into the family. And no, this is a Republican state with a Republican crowd in a Republican town with a Republican family. Now, there's not some people there who are Democratic in Utah. The percentages is highly different, like in advantages of that. And the father himself is definitely 100% a Republican. And the wife is also. The son, who hasn't voted in the last 2 presidential terms, has not placed a vote. How they're going to try to tie this to a political crime, because he didn't like some words that were said by Charlie Kirk, took the wrong actions to do so. And I'm just saying, the signs were there. The signs were there. But he's not cooperating with the investigators at all. He's being very difficult. This Tyler Robinson. So because Tyler Robinson is being difficult, they're having a harder time than usual as far as to get the reasoning, or what was the thing that you didn't like about him. He's not answering any of their questions. So he's just being, difficult, and they seeing him as a bit immature, as she's saying. And he, even though he's 22, he doesn't really have a mature mind. He basically has like a teenager's mind at the age of 22. There we go, DJ. Yeah, well, my thing is this. Ooh, man. Yes, that is TJ. I will be dropping the link tonight for the fight.
So that in itself makes it super hard for law enforcement to immediately secure a scene. Additionally, as you also just said, the suspect was perched on a roof about 200 yards and was able to slip into that chaos after the fact. But on the better hand and the more positive note, because you have this many people and this is a younger crowd, they are all holding their cell phones. That's a huge resource for investigators. So dozens of people have already come forward with video tips and with video footage and have been able to provide law enforcement, which was enabling them to piece together minute by minute when this suspect got off the roof and ultimately fled.
One thing that's interesting, a note from yesterday, investigators did reveal here that the suspect, while he is in this jail that you see right there on your screen, he's been questioned by investigators. They have said that he is not cooperating, he is staying quiet, not answering any of their questions about a motive or anything else. Again, that information obviously preliminary coming in from investigators, but what does that say to you? Is that fairly standard that a suspect is not going to talk and share any details about any of this?
So it varies based on the way in which the suspect was captured. In this case, his family brought him in. They offered him into law enforcement. When you have someone who's on the lam, on the run, and ultimately apprehended by law enforcement's diligence, they're often going to, because they're upset that they got caught, they're going to open their mouth prematurely. In this case, the parent brought him in, and I would say that he was told not to ask for legal counsel in a situation like this, but we have so much other corroborating evidence, and investigators will unfortunately now, if the suspect is not speaking, they'll have to rely solely on that forensic digital footprint, the found rifle, the found etch markings, any footprints, anyone that's willing to come forward with a statement. So it will take a little longer because we don't have a direct confession, but I'm sure with what the what the suspect's family and what some victims on scene have said, we're going to be able to piece this together much quicker.
Now, they're going to piece it together much quicker now because of that fact. So they say. Now, this will get done. Oh, believe me, it will get done. He can talk or not talk. I can tell you his sentence right now. Because they didn't go and arrest him, he turned himself in. From what we've been told, that Tyler Robinson turned himself in. So now I'm going to share with you some things that I know. The reason they're pushing for a political crime is so that they can, so that they can seek the death penalty. They want to make this a political crime for these purposes. They want to pursue the death penalty. Heavy. Now, they won't do that in this case. He won't get death. He'll get life imprisonment. But they would rather he take a plea deal then to go through a lengthy trial. His father made him turn himself in because his father is part of the Republican Party. This is pretty much predominantly his father's fault in certain ways. The son has given them tendencies in the last few years of him being extremely concerned with political views, but mostly the views of Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie Kirk isn't a politician. He isn't. That's why literally they say, well, he's not a politician. And even though he might as well be, he's not listed as a politician. So to try to say it's a political crime, the president is dropping the flag at half-mast. He's really a civilian, not a political figure. Even though he has such a political following, he was on the rally. He's not a politician. Just stating facts here. Tyler Robinson, though a lot of people say he is with the gay and whatever, according to his father, he's a straight man. So, but we found no one to corroborate that. So all this talk was rumors, was just to stir up the pot, to keep people upset, saying they're going to build a statue of him next to Martin Luther King. You know, that's people talking rhetoric, and none of that has been discussed at all. As people are trying to put together an investigation, they were trying to find the person at that time. His father's part of the Republican Party. He's pro-military, pro-gun. He's a hunter. The family goes hunting every year. Hunting, fishing. Whole house is decked out and doggone deer antlers all throughout the house. He's been firing a gun since he was a kid. So he knows how to hunt. Charlie Kirk was wearing a vest. He had a slim vest with the slim armor, the one where it slants up to come up here, and one where it slants down with the plate, the metal plate. The bullet hit the tip of that plate and shot upwards into his neck and went upwards to his head. It didn't come out. There was no exit. So the fragment, or it could have fragmented. when that happened. Yes, it hit his vest, the tip of it, and shot up. Seemed like it hit the vest, then shot up. Wasn't a dead-on shot from where he was at. You look at it, much as I'm quite sure they have frame by frame, you could see where it hits like the vest and then go upwards. You know, at the hospital, they probably had a pulse, but I think he was pretty much gone right away. You don't want people to suffer, you know. But hey, how you doing? I'm all right. So we're having a lot of different people now trying to get this man, whose father probably got him a lawyer, told him once you get in there, don't say anything to him, cooperate. So his father, even though he turned him in and got him to turn himself in, because it was going to be a matter of time before they got him, plus the humiliation and embarrassment to his family. This dude tried to get him involved in the military, wanted his sons to be militant. Got him to go outside. And become this person that tried to stonewall. But within the little time they've spent with Tyler Robertson, they know he's not going to cooperate. But they can tell by certain actions, reactions, the way he's responding to things, that this person is not as mature as people first thought. Well, here's the thing. There's people saying, does Donald Trump care? I can't speak for Donald Trump. I don't know how he processes things, but it's hard for me to believe Donald Trump cares about anybody but Donald Trump. So why would Charlie Kirk be any different? It's like he helped him. He loves him. Trump loves him. Okay. Trump is known for receiving love, not giving it. Now, no. Yes, we'll be live for the fight. Well, how the mighty is fallen. Oh, I'm interested to seeing Vargas fight more than anything on that undercard. I wanted to see what Vargas do. He's the oldest son. Ferocious Fernando Vargas. It's Ferroso Jr. He was raised around this whole thing. He said, "You got me walking." Yeah, man, I gotta get my steps in, man. We gotta get moving. Now, we all know Charlie Kirk said some things that pushed the buttons on a lot of people and got them hot. I have not seen a lot of the things he said. I've seen clips. Now, you can't get the context correctly if you just have a clip. Now, the Martin Luther King thing and civil rights, I keep hearing about it and seeing clips. But I wanted to get it in its full context to hear what exactly is he trying to say, so I can answer it with logic. He said it was a mistake. I was like, well, all right, well, I got to hear what he's actually saying. Like saying that he has no empathy. I was like, but he said he would use sympathy in place of that. And I don't excuse his behavior or anything. You know, he's going to say some things to piss people off because that's his stick, you know. You had a lot of people that did that. You had Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly would go up there, say some of the craziest things just to piss people off. You press a button. You know how many people didn't like Bill O'Reilly? Charlie Kirk's wife. I I mean, we saw the speech yesterday. I played it so you could listen to what she had to say. It was powerful. She said some powerful things there. Staying rooted in faith is hard for her, but to address the public in 2 days, most people don't do that. We've seen people try to keep themselves busy to try to not deal with the present of the moment. And that's probably what she's doing, because most people don't understand that she actually is a part of Turning Point. She's a part of that company. That's how she met Charlie. She was brought in for an interview for the company, and Charlie wanted to interview her for another job, and that was being his wife. So that was set up, that was put together. She had great speaking skills, and here they are, a power couple. Who knows, 10 years from now, 6 years from now, a presidential run wasn't out of the question. So if you know a presidential run isn't out of the question, everyone's going to come up with conspiracy theories. So it's going to be a conspiracy theory to think the Democrats wanted to take him out because he was a threat to become president. People are going to cook this up and try to turn it into reality, when the reality is he's not here anymore. The person that did it solely on his own. They don't have a motive of why he wants to do it, except for what the parents are saying. He was saying that he didn't like Charlie Kirk for a long time, based on some of the things he said, and decided to go and do something. Of course it was the wrong action. I don't commend somebody go and do that. One, Charlie Kirk does not know this man. Charlie Kirk didn't say anything to him about him or his family. He basically said things that was in the agreement of what him and his family stood for. His dad is a right-wing conservative. His mother is a right-wing conservative. So Charlie Kirk spoke to what their ideals are. Well, Tyler Robinson, I mean, that's a person that was acting on his own. He was an idiot. So, well, I don't care about the people online. People online, if you're talking about we coming to get you and you're online saying you're coming to get somebody, you're just a fool. Because the only thing that's going to come get you is the authorities. Where you going to be then, oh, no, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry. I was saying to them, I was just making a video, man. It was just Twitter, man. It was just IG, man. when they're all going to tell you, well, did you think this was going to be a good idea when you woke up this morning? Right. Whoever told you that was going to be a good idea, they weren't honest. Well, it's a sad day, you know. For him and his family. But it's became a nationwide situation. And people love to have the big stage and they want to make a moment for themselves. He offended a lot of people. And when you have that kind of influence, it's going to be met with a lot of detractors. I'm saying beat them in debate. Debate your points and be able to land your plane. But I believe some of these targets were selected in these debates. You're debating people that have no clue or an idea of what they're talking about. And I watched some of the clips of the debates. And whenever he gets in a situation where, I mean, some people debating him over Star Wars. You know, it was literally that just bland. They had a debate over Star Wars. But this is how he connected to the young people. He would listen to you, where other people would just tune you out. Oh, of course not. You have people that have an elitist mindset. They don't want to hear anything someone else has to say. Only whatever comes out of their mouth is the gospel. Now, how should that be taken? You know? There's only so much a person can deal with before they say enough is enough. Like, I don't want to deal with this. This has become a headache. It's only so much. People cannot express their views without being violent. And that's the problem. Now, people want to go and blame the gun. The gun isn't the issue. Him having access to the gun isn't the issue. It's the person and the behavior of the person with the gun. There was clearly signs, and they chose to ignore it. So, that's all on them. All right? There were signs there, and they chose to ignore them. So, if you have all these signs out, and you choose on your own to ignore these signs, who should be at fault? me see. No, I'm not even going that way. Get that. We'll walk all the way around. People keep letting their dogs out. Oh, don't put them on leashes. It's crazy. Because if somebody pulls out a gun and blasts the dog, then they'll be blaming the man who shot the dog. Mm-hmm. You said in the early 2000s, the media and the politicians from both sides about these kinds of things. Whenever they try to use a tragedy to try to spin it to votes, like I thought it was really weird that the wife tried to recruit and tell people to sign up for Turning USA 48 hours. My whole thing is her coming out addressing all of the people that were involved was due to the fact that it was due to the fact of I know, I heard what you said. That people were concerned about the future, thinking Turning Point was over and was probably going to walk away because without Charlie, there's no Turning Point. And the people that were, the other people that's there who's helped running this corporation is like, hey, we got to let them know his legacy won't go. We need you to make a statement. Now, she has to tell her children, and from what she told us, the children don't even know yet. They have no clue about the tragedy. So it's like, what do you tell them? You know, when she keeps asking her, "Where's Daddy?" You know, that's hard and harsh. You wouldn't want that on anybody. So, I'm telling you, the world is crazy sometimes. And all the beauty that's done in the world gets no attention. It's always the chaos. People wants to focus on the chaos because the chaos brings them more joy and more numbers. They love the chaos. But peace and order, they don't care about that. Well, the left want to target guns. So they'll use this to say, see, it's this gun violence. The right wing, it wants to make it political violence and try to find a way to tie in the Democrats and them leading to political violence. Even though the person, Republican state, Republican family, you know, according to his father, straight white man, did this situation. Which I think he's a little aloof, where he might be somebody who would identify as a pansexual or right. They have asexual, bisexual, pansexual, transsexual. I don't got time to go through the alphabet chart. You gay. That's it. And then you say that, they go, hey, no, I'm not. And then they'll say some crazy thing. Like, I only sleep with men, women, and a cat. Occasionally. You throw a cat in the mix. And they'll be like, my thing is the kid never followed any views of politics. He never went out and voted in the last 2 elections because he was only eligible to vote in those elections. He opted not to. So, he didn't go along, he rebelled. They found no evidence to saying that somebody put him up to do it, the Democrats. Because it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Like, okay, you take out Charlie Kirk, that doesn't help you. You've made him a martyr to the Republican Party if you're the Democrats. It would only strengthen their party by having that happen. So that's why people be like, nah, leave him alone. Just ignore it. Until he ends up saying something that would mess up everything. You let them talk long enough till they say the wrong thing that they can't get themselves out of. That's how you usually handle those type of situations, not with violence. You know, when Dr. King, we had this discussion before with Malcolm X and Dr. King, how the two philosophies with the same problem, two different philosophies, right? And they were too busy going at each other and not addressing said problem. They both are focusing on what they don't agree with each other about, instead of focusing on what they do agree about, and start there. Once those two begin to say, you know what, okay, we do agree to this degree, let's focus on what we agree about. And then they were able to meet and actually have a civil conversation with each other. Then they began to get to the root of the problem. How y'all doing? People like propaganda and hate and ignorance, and it pushes people into envelopes. So other people can use you as a weapon to push their agenda. Suge Knight used Tupac. He saw Tupac's fire and used it to spew his own disagreements with people and push it. Pac became his megaphone. Suge don't like Dre, Tupac gonna hate Dre. He gonna personify it. Now, well, first of all, you guys got to stop believing everything you see on TikTok and Instagram. Okay? That's one. Those people are doing it for views. Okay? That's it. They want to have a viral clip. They're going to mix some truth in with some of their ideals. And they're going to make it look pretty so you believe it's facts. I don't know how many times people have been going around with misinformation that they've gotten off TikTok or Instagram. Now back to Dr. King and Malcolm X. They knew they had a common problem, so they focused on the things they agreed with rather than focus on the things they didn't agree with. And before they really could come together to unify, after saying that they would, Malcolm's life was taken. By the same people who used him as a megaphone. Tupac taken out by the same energy that used him as a megaphone to push their agendas. End up creating an atmosphere where both men lost their lives. Malcolm's situation, Tupac. Right? Now, moving right along. Malcolm thing was if they hit you, hit them back. Eye for an eye. Turn the other cheek. He saw that as weakness in his methods of dealing with the problem. But Dr. King saw the bigger picture. Fighting like that, when they control the media, they control the television, they control radio, they will paint you as the antagonizer. And they were just defending themselves against your savage nature. They've already spread this negative culture about you. And you will personify it by going in for an attack. You were personified by doing said thing. Yeah. By choosing nonviolence, you were able to show they were the aggressors. And when they saw that all across the world, when they filmed it on the news, that these people are not fighting back and these people are attacking them, it got the sympathy of people from overseas who came over to the United States and stood beside the brothers. You see, in order to achieve your accomplishment, you can't just have all black people involved. You have to have a nation of people. There were white people involved. There was Chinese people involved that helped with these movements. Then the Latinos got involved with these movements. I can't believe in 2025 we're using the word black on black crime. That's just stupid. That word shouldn't even exist anymore. That phrase, rather. Uh, no, not a political person. Prayers go out to the world. So you can say prayers for us, family. There's no problem if you don't have to make an announcement to say that you're not gonna do it. Like, why would you make a video saying you don't care about Charlie Kirk? No one asked you, did you care about Charlie Kirk? So why would you make a video saying that you don't care? That only means that you're doing it for views, to get people angry at you. So when people say something in response, now they want to go run to the feds. But I'm like, if you just said nothing, that would show that you didn't care, right? You didn't care about it. So you were trying to antagonize someone. You were trying to play on someone else's pain, which I don't know why they would do it, because if you don't like it done to you, you don't do it to somebody else. Hmm. I seem heartbroken. Now I'm tired, dog. I'm on a walk. I'm on a walk. My heart isn't broken. I don't like to see people die and get slaughtered for no reason. I'm someone who knows life is precious. Whether he had kids or a wife, or he didn't have a kids or a wife, it don't even matter. People's like, yeah, man, because he had a wife. And I'm like, a lot of people got wives. A lot of people that don't have wives. But if he didn't have a wife or no kids at all, if he had no family, it don't even matter. He didn't deserve to have what happened to him happen to him. But this is why we say you have to be careful, because you don't know what you would say that could trigger somebody. And it's funny to me how people say he was saying things that was just from the Bible. I'm like, but it's weird how people use the Bible to take one part of it out the Bible that benefits them or their argument, right? Like they're Bible thumpers all of a sudden. I'd be like, you're talking about him just going off of the Bible and the Bible this, right? Are you a Christian Bible thumper? Because you listen to heavy metal that talks about Satan 24 hours a day. And you got Satan hats and throwing up horns, and you're sitting here loving the fact or saying that he's this Bible good Christian. And I'm like, um, I'm confused. You talking Christianity and got on a shirt with the devil in his horns. I'm very confused. Yeah, well, he said that to protect the Second Amendment rights. He said it for shock value, to get people to trend. It's a very ignorant statement. That's all he made, but that's what he does. He Bill O'Reilly's it. They said Bill O'Reilly couldn't say that on the air. No. Well, Tyler Robinson is not cooperating because his father told him not to. Wait till your lawyers get there. Because what the family's going to do is try to make sure he at least have a chance to get out. See if he take a plea for 4 years, do 40 years. 40 years and he gets to get out. That's the government's not going to want that. They're going to push for the death penalty. And the people are going to want them to. But the fact that he turned himself in, even though Charlie Kirk is high profile, we'll see how it plays out. But I see him getting a life sentence. This is a 22-year-old kid. He only took one life, fired one shot. Do they get life? They'll pursue the death penalty, they won't get it. In my opinion, they won't get that. For a 22-year-old kid, no. But you never know. You never know. Society is enriched and things we don't know. If I said, man, Leonardo is my favorite Ninja Turtle, and you go, man, Raphael is the favorite Ninja Turtle. And I said, well, Leonardo, he was the leader. He had a samurai sword. He had the game plan. And you go, Raphael was the strongest. He was the only one to take charge. Leo wasn't no leader. Ralph should have been the leader. Ralph did this. He had these qualities. Leo just sit back and wait. Ralph took action. Now, either one of us, should we try to take the other one out? Because I think he thinks Ralph is better as the leader of the Ninja Turtles. And I say Leonardo is the best leader. Or we both have two different disagreements about the same circle, right? Same group, the Ninja Turtles. We just have two different ideologies. So I'm supposed to take him out because he thinks Ralph. He's supposed to take me out because I think Leo. You see how that don't make any sense? He can believe Ralph is number one. All he wants. Long as I believe Leo is the best, I don't care what he say. You see what I'm saying? Okay, different side of the same coin. I'm trying to let you know, and by saying that, it is the same coin. Democrats and Republicans are both Americans. They're in the same government system. It's the same coin. You see, they try to make you believe it's two different coins. It's the same coin. See what I'm saying now? An inspiring dictator. What president wasn't a dictator? Did you ever hear the two words Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney was the first, and I mean the first, vice president to ever be president of the United States, and the world just didn't know it. For 8 years, Dick Cheney ran that office. Him and Donald Rumsfeld, man, the two most corrupt individuals, and they did not hide it. Donald, at least Rumsfeld didn't. He brought Dick Cheney into the game. Hey, how you doing, sir? Oh yeah, Dick Cheney was a tyrant. So you talking about dictatorship? You've been under a dictatorship for years. You just didn't know it. They dictate to you. You think it's your choice. That's the beauty of it. You think you have a choice. Uh-uh. Some points that he made, he was right on. I was like, oh, yeah, he's right. But this is crazy. And then a lot of it was generalities. He was just making a general statement that didn't make any sense. You got this. Yeah. Right. You think Megan Kelly and the rest of these people really cared about what was going on? Or they were trying to make good television? Some people, they do care. They get all emotional and cry. But they didn't get emotional and cry 2 days ago when that family got taken out, or the lady on the train. They had families too. It's because Charlie has a lot of followers. He has a movement, and they want that movement to be following them. So they want a piece of that Charlie days. Now, people came out and attacked his wife all on social media. I didn't even click on it to hear what they had to say. But here's the grim reality. That was her husband. She has 2 children that are under the age of 10. And they have to deal with the reality of their father not coming home. She has to deal with that. So when all of this is over, for the rest of these children's lives and her life, she has to deal with that. However she chose to express herself, let her do it. That's her process of dealing with it, is getting back active and trying to show a strong face for the supporters. Let her do it. She got a tough enough job. Because when all y'all turned the station to something else, when this news died out in a week, and you start talking about something else, she still got to deal with it. That's the realities of the situation. Deal with the realities. See, I don't think Democrat or Republican. I think humanity and be human. My humanity says, let her do what she want to do to express herself. And that's it. You leave it at that. It's hard to keep up with him. No, I believe in different philosophy. Mm. Now, why would you say free Tyler Robinson? Why do you think he should be free? Hmm? And what makes you better, Slime Verse? What makes you a better person than him? A lot of people might think you're talking a lot of trash. So, should you die from a lack of oxygen to the brain? Hmm? No, I'm not going to kick him out. See, you people are doing the opposite of what Charlie stood for, right? Charlie was open to debate. Oh, don't worry, we'll be live for the fight. Then we're going to open up the panel. People can come in and talk about the fight. No tap dancing. It's the truth. If this is a man who was open for debate and allow people to say their points, and you can say your points back, why would y'all take another approach and be violent? And why would you, if you don't like Charlie, why would you take the opportunity to try to talk bad about a person who's deceased? When has that been cool? Ever? Did anyone ask you to feel bad about something? You should feel bad about what you post. Nobody asked you to feel bad about Charlie. I'm not trying to guilt you into feeling bad about Charlie. You should feel bad about what you posted. See, that's the problem here. If you said that man said a bunch of hateful things, What do you think you're posting right now? You're not posting joy. He said, who was violent? Well, if you go about all the Charlie supporters who keeps blaming the left and liberals, they're preaching violence and we're coming to get you on normal people that had nothing to do with anything. They've been preaching acts of violence, but they claim they followers of Charlie. Mm-hmm. Do I seem mad? Did my voice go up an octave? If you're mad that people are mad at people voicing their opinions about Charlie, then you should be mad at Charlie. No one's mad about what you're doing. I just think it's disgusting. You must then understand, you come in here and you make generalities about what people believe. If you listen from the very beginning, we've already stated, I didn't agree with a lot of things Charlie has said, but a man don't deserve to lose their life in that fashion because you don't agree with what they say, or you don't like what they say. Period. So that's the reality of it. No one's asking anybody to even show sympathy, but you don't have to be cruel. That's a reflection of you, not Charlie. I don't know. I'm not mad. I don't see myself being mad at all. I see myself making a point. Because see, other people might feel like you feel, right? And they have to desensitize themselves from common sense. And the humanity button is going off. A lot of it is social media's fault. You'll be flipping to information too fast. They go, 3 people lost their life in a bomb. You go, oh man, that's sad. And they turn, oh look, we just signed, what's his name, to the Lakers. Oh wow, all right. You see, you don't have any time to process anything because the information comes so fast. You become desensitized to news. You don't even realize what you're saying is ridiculous. You don't have to like them political atmospheres that foster the type of behavior Charlie and his assassins live in. That's perfectly fine. Nobody likes those atmospheres because see, those type of atmospheres create, one, it separates and nothing good is going to come out of it. It promotes elitism. it promotes caste of saying the people that is a part of our circle and what we do are in a certain tax bracket. And if you're not in that tax bracket, they don't care about you. And you say, that's not true. Okay. How many, you know what's weird? Let's not tell you. Conservatives are in denial and the Democrats are delusional. The conservatives will sit there all day. I mean, all day. And they would come up with storyline after storyline, right? They would go ahead, put down. I mean, they'd get down for the crown. They would put down the other party. The conservatives would sit there and say what the Democrat ain't doing. They're cheating you, these programs ain't this and that. Okay, well then what programs do the conservatives have for the hood? Name one program that the conservatives have in place for the hood. For people that need, minorities. What minority program do the conservatives have in place? You don't hear anything. So when you hear poor people talking about they Republican, you can almost laugh. Because I said, okay, what programs do they have for you? Please tell me. What have they done for you to make you say, you know what? If it wasn't for you, please enlighten us. You know what they gonna say? Nothing. So, if you're thinking in that form, with that kind of logic, right? Because that's what matters. If we're thinking in that kind of logic, with that kind of identity to the problem, what are we really doing? So if the Republicans have no plan, why won't they discuss plans they have instead of playing the blame game? They're still talking about Joe Biden. Like Biden's right now going through surgery. He's not even in politics right now. The Democrats have to stop being delusional. The Democrats would say we're going to have free water, everything, and then throw a party, bring out Beyonce and Cardi B. They're going to twerk for the whole world, and everybody's going to say, that's great. I had a blast. But none of it's going to mean anything, which they called identity politics. People are now getting tired of that. So what you're left with is an entire cesspool of people who are not getting the message. They're not getting through clearly to the rest of the world. They can't be the top party. Both parties are flawed. Both parties are heavily flawed. The conservatives doesn't have a plan in place that involves everyone. They are an elite group that they only care about the 1%. I vote for the best person with the best plan because, see, you're governed by your policies. Do you realize policies are in place that Democrats created? Policies are in place that Republicans that put in place. They have a combination of both in these parties. That's the best thing you could do, El. Because in this process, what is actually getting done? They're not going to get anything done for people who are not unified. So if they keep you separated and not unified, then you see where you turn up and end up. Because you don't like the way somebody else is doing it and you want to get them out of there, it's like, okay, you get them out of there, then what is the next person you're going to bring in going to do? It should always be about policy. That's correct, because that's what you're governed by. I really don't know. It was so many different people making decisions at that time, so it's really hard to say. But roll tide. Oh yeah, you knew we were gonna beat Wisconsin. UW can't beat Alabama. Uh the coach has the best policy, probably. Well, we'll see. Now, no, you always want to make sure that you're doing the best by your abilities. That's it. Be the best human being you could be on this planet. If you don't have fairness and compassion for others, then you failed. How can you be a Christian if you don't have these things? How you can say you're a man of God if you don't have these things? God says, what? He would take the wrath of your fallen enemy and put it upon you if you were to celebrate that man's demise. Those were God's words. Now they find out more news about the so-called Tyler Robinson. Here we go.
I do want to get back to the latest here on the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk as we continue to learn new details here. Brooke Sigmund over at Fox Digital posting this a short time ago saying exclusive. Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson lived with his transgender partner, according to sources. The individual, who is a male transitioning to a female, is fully cooperating with the FBI. Sources tell me the FBI had texts and other communications between Robinson and the individual that helped FBI authorities solidify that Robinson was indeed the shooter. Again, Robinson has been named the suspect and is in custody. The last question Charlie Kirk answered before he was murdered was, quote, "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? Charlie replied, quote, "Too many." He was then asked, quote, "Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Charlie replied, quote, "Counting or not counting gang violence." Charlie was then assassinated. Again, those details there coming from Brooke Sigmund over at Fox. And we do continue to cover everything related to the assassination here as we learn more about what to expect in the coming days. The Utah County District Attorney now saying that 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, seen in these mugshots here, will be formally charged with Kirk's murder Tuesday ahead of his initial court appearance. And it also seems that Attorney General Pam Bondi and the DOJ are weighing the idea of federal charges in that case. As for how Robinson was identified as the suspect, the FBI says his father recognized him in surveillance photos that were released Thursday as investigators did look for a person of interest. Those are the photos there on your screen. The Associated Press reported that Robinson's father told him to turn himself in, and at first he refused, but then changed his mind. Now we're also hearing from investigators that it appears that Robinson is not commenting here. He is not cooperating with law enforcement as they question him, working here to determine a motive. Take a look at this video right here as you can see students and others running here. We know that Charlie Kirk was shot there with a single bullet Wednesday as he spoke at an event on the campus of Utah Valley University where he was.
Now, as you can see, now they've confirmed what I've said on my Patreon, that person who his father tried to say, no, he was a straight man. He's a straight man. He's a straight man. Wasn't a straight man. As I totally told you guys, he was starting to come out. The details are very clear when they start making those type of, because why would he be so concerned about Charlie Kirk all of a sudden out of the blue?
But here's the real question.
So that's why I said, wow, why would that happen in that frame? It's because the father is very right-wing, conservative, hunting dad. He's been taking all of his boys hunting. And they go out and it's nothing but hunting. The whole house is full of deers, heads, all antlers, all throughout the house. Deer heads all over the wall. They didn't went out and shot everything. He took him to the military academy thing where he's playing with the 50 cal, everything. So yes, he does shoot for a living. Now, that the person has a transgender Mm. Here's what it looked like so you could get a better view of what happened. This is where he was perched. That's how. Mm-hmm. All right, you see where he was there? Mm-hmm. So, as the security team came over, helped out, did what they wanted to do or what they felt they should do, mm, well, when people start making their approach to enter a new, what they would call intelligent television, and people going into a new realm of personifying technology as it grows and expands, people are getting information quicker than ever before. So when you start going down the drifting lanes of people making changes, No. The popularity in the masses is based on the public perception of what they believe is golden and what isn't. Mm-mm. What you're saying is your beliefs. It's cool. You believe that. That's fine. No one's asking you to change your belief. So it's just what I'm saying. You got to understand that people are not asking you to change your beliefs. You can believe what you want to believe in. Is what I'm trying to get, expressed through you. Is that it's up to you what you want to believe in. Now, not really, because see, most of y'all, some of you guys come in here just to troll, to have conversations because you're bored. Yeah. Wow, the original systems? I don't know, man. People got so many policies in place. It's just crazy. You know, it's crazy. There's so many policies that's put in place. Yeah, well, yeah, it is what it is. So we'll chat on this later, man. It's been a good conversation. I'm drained after that walk. I'm gonna talk to y'all later and get ready for the fight.